This is D&D gear I actually use every session. I don't mean sometimes, I do not mean that it's useful to have or that it looks cool on the shelf, even though I do like a lot of this stuff. I really mean every session. I made a video 2 years ago similar to this, but things have changed and I've really narrowed down what I use. I just got rid of all the fluff and this is my definitive list for the way I play D&D, though you may play it differently. In that video from 2 years, I showed off this bag. And this bag is still holding strong. This is the True Nabs Adventurer backpack. It's Canadian, and I'll link everything below. But if you're in the States, there's a very similar bag that I would recommend called the Enhanced Tabletop D&D bag. They're fundamentally the same thing. Holding up to 8 books, or the equivalent exchange in notes, paper, and other materials, they have top compartments for minis and tons of little pouches for anything else you'll need. Now, I play D&D mostly at home nowadays, so you may be asking, why do you need a backpack to take your stuff around if you're just playing home games? Surely you don't use this bag every session. Well, actually I do, as storage. I can put everything else in this video that I do use weekly in this bag when I'm not using it, and it can either go into a closet or it's just kind of a cool bag to have out. It can just sit in the corner of the room until I need it again for next session. Now I do have shelves and space downstairs, which you'll see in a second, for all storage of all my stuff. And I've got a lot of stuff for D&D, but trying to find stuff in there is kind of a nightmare. So the stuff that I just use the most, that I use all the time, will just sit in this bag and it's perfect. And if I do end up traveling, I've got a bag for it. And it's already full of the stuff I use the most, so I don't even have to pack it. So let's see what I store in this bag of holding, shall we? Okay, so the D&D hobby is kind of oversaturated with books. With D&D, knowledge is power. And I would say of all the D&D products in the world, 90% of them are books. Intelligence is the best stat, and my God, do I have a lot of books. But when it comes to books that I use every single session, I only actually recommend 2 of them. And as much as I love the DMG, it's good, to read through once or twice and refresh every now and then, but I'm not using it every week. However, the Monster Manual and the Player's Guide, I am. I and players can look up rules and things using the Player's Handbook while we game, and I use the Monster Manual for inspiration and to straight up use monsters every single week. Now, these are the 2024 versions of these books, just because the rules have been updated. If you still use 2014 rules, you'll want the older versions of these books. They're not as backwards compatible as I think the company would want them to be, but they do go a long way. That being said, if you do want to use the 2024 versions, the game has been rebalanced, and it's really nice just to have the kind of core species and classes in the Player's Handbook to play around with. There's not a lot of bloat. I kind of use it as like a little reset. But if you're happy with the way you play and you're using the old rules, there's no real reason to update yet. But if you're new to the game or like to keep up with the new releases and want to be up to date, the 2024 version is fantastic. The DMG is also really helpful. It's got a lot of items and things in here as well, so you might use it more often, but I simply don't use it every single week. Okay, so what's next in here? Dice and a dice tray. Unless you use digital tools, you'll probably need these. You can get incredibly cheap, basic looking dice. I'm also not gonna lie to you, these are often the best in my mind because they're incredibly readable and you don't have to worry about damaging them or anything. Chessex dice are kind of the go-to for dice on the cheaper side. I've had a bunch of Chessex dice. They're good and affordable, but this is a game of whimsy, fantasy, and imagination. It's a game of customizability, so there's a lot of fun in getting dice that suit you or your character. Same with the dice tray. I feel like dice and dice trays are just really good gifts to give to D&D players and DMs as well, because you can never have too many of them. Dice towers are also really good gifts, by the way. Hint, hint, my own players. So at the very least, we can just use dice towers as, ornaments, decoration. They look cool. So dice do come in many different styles. You can get metal ones, resin ones, gemstone ones. I think these are gemstone. Ooh. Oh no, these are glass. And then, the ones I just dropped, all in my bag of holding, are wooden. That was the D20 I dropped. Wait, what did it roll? Oh, a 12. I've also found that mystery dice bags that you can get, where you don't know what the dice are going to be, are also really cool, and especially good for gifts, because, you know, it's not your fault if the dice are bad, it's the dice gods. You were meant to have ugly dice, it was foretold. I'll leave a link below to some good mystery dice as well. As for dice trays, I really like, you know, I mean, you can't really go wrong with most of them, it's really preference, but the foldable one. As for dice trays, I really like the foldable ones. They fold down flats for storage and fold up, so you can always have them in a pinch. And also, if you're a DM and you just want some extra ones, they're relatively cheap as well. But yeah, love me some good dice and dice trays. Okay. Oh, look at this. Notepads. I love a good notepad for D&D. I don't even take actual notes in these bad boys. I end up just writing random words and numbers in here that mean something to me at the time, but good luck deciphering them in the future. It's because I tend to improvise enemies and puzzles and scenes a lot in the moment. So I just need to keep track of everything. So it might be like HP points, so it might be names of NPCs or places or things that could happen. Now, of course, you could choose a basic lined paper notepad. They are dirt cheap and they do the job just as well, if not arguably better, because they're often bigger than these. But as with dice and dice trays, I do find it's nice to, you know, fit the theme and have accessories that stand out. It's fun on D&D night to look around the table and just see so many fantasy-inspired stuff. Definitely not necessary though, and I'm sure a lot of you out there will roll your eyes at the fact of me spending more money on just paper than I need to. This is the Book of Holding, really good for players. It's gridded and it's just a notepad with a clasp with like some, I guess, a little bit of art inside, but it's barely anything. It just does what it says on the tin. It's a journal. This is the Book of Concealment. This is fundamentally the exact same thing with one twist. It is also a mini DM screen. So you can actually pull out the journal here and use this. You know, it's pretty good on the go as well. Having notebooks like this for me just means that I can keep everything organized and together, and it's just, you know, fun to write in stuff like this. Also, while we're talking about notepads, I should quickly say that I obviously use pens a lot, but recently I've fallen in love with mechanical pencils. I know, this guy's showing the most basic stuff, but it's true. It's kind of changed my game a little bit, because now all my players have mechanical pencils, and we are much more likely to use pen and paper for character sheets, and I just prefer that vibe. They can just write on a character sheet and rub it out really easily. And it's just, you know, it feels more wholesome to look around the table and see that people aren't burying their heads into laptops all the time for everything. They've got pen and paper here, they've got the notepads, they've got the pencils, and they're good to go. Okay. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the video. I just want you to know that right now, as of this video going live and for a couple of hours afterwards, I'm going to be live over on Twitch talking about this, talking about more gear and everything in between. So come check it out and, you know, come ask your questions, come have a chat. I'll also be talking about that wild thing that just happened that everyone's talking about, and it's crazy, and, you know. Okay. Speaking about a book with a mini DM screen in it, we should talk about actual DM screens. Not everyone uses DM screens. I personally do. I like to be able to hide notes behind them. I like the separation of church and state, and I just like D&D things on the table. I also find them incredibly useful for rules that I forget or things that I want to remember. I just, you know, stick post-it notes on the back of them. I tend to have a terrible memory, and it really helps. This one, no it's not. This one is the official 2024 DM screen, and it's pretty good. Now, it's a preference whether you like the front cover or not. I actually do, but it's got all the rules you kind of need. I have added some post-it notes on here like I was talking about. That's mostly just to show in my world, like roughly what one copper piece is and what one silver piece is and what one gold piece is. Like a direct conversion to this world, Canadian money. Like one copper piece is $1, one silver piece is $10, one gold piece $100, and one platinum piece $1,000. that is not accurate. I'm not saying everyone should use that, but it's very useful for me to, at a glance, figure out how much stuff should be. And there's also the rules for exhaustion on here, really easy to see. But there are a ton of options for DM screens out there. You can even make your own, or you can print off information you want and stick it to the back of, anything, really. There are some crazy, cool creations on Etsy, for example. But this will do if you want to use a DM screen at all. Well, this partners with my next thing really nicely, Post-it notes. Not a lot to say about this, but I do use it pretty much every single session to, mark things on, keep track of things, put on the back of my DM screen, even hand out to players certain information. It's really nice to have. A small thing that I use a surprising amount. Okay. Okay. The other scene is upstairs, and coming up and down is getting to be a lot. The things I do for retention. Okay, think about small things I use a lot. Let's talk about minis and battle map books and risers and condition rings and the area of effect. Measurers. Oh, and actually I use these shelves, put it on my D&D table, and then when I have a battle mat, I can put it on here like this and minis on top, and there's still room underneath for the players to, put stuff. Or even better, I could have a multi-layer kind of scene very easily. I don't know what these are called, and my wife got them on Facebook Marketplace, I think, but they're really, really cool. We have 2 of them. We can put them together so they run the whole length of the table. Big fan of these. Also, me saying that I run up and down the stairs between every scene change was obviously a lie. I filmed all of upstairs before. Now I'm filming all down here, but to make the running on and off screen realistic, I am running up and down the stairs to get out of breath, and my God, do I get out of breath easily. I actually feel a bit sick. So, as you saw, these battle map books are phenomenal. These are made by a company called Loki, and each page is a different scene or setting, including just a blank battle map sheet. These books are different, so that each page is completely different, and you can kind of slot them together as well to make really cool scenes. I also have a huge one, so if I wanted to, I could slot all 3 of these together and cover the whole table with battle mats, which is very, very cool. Oh no, I lost the top of my microphone. Was that when I was running up and down? Oh no, the cat's gonna eat that. 1 second. The cat did indeed have it. Oh, it's covered in fluff now, come on. So I never have to worry about setting up encounters, improvisation wise. I can just grab something like this, and I have some terrain that I can throw on it as well. I've got some rocks and trees and pillars, and then, throw my minis down, and it's great. It's like I stumbled upon a complete cheat sheet for D&D. And you can draw on these with marker pens, like wet erase or dry erase, and rub them off, no issue. So you can literally just make anything. So I guess I should add marker pens to this list as well, because I do use them weekly. I just don't know where they are right now. Minis themselves, I like WizKids minis. They're always cool, especially these Baldur's Gate 3 style ones. They feel well made, except for that batch they sent out where they were completely melted, of course. But all the ones I have are really cool. And also, Critical Role minis, again, also made by WizKids, I believe, are really good quality. But any minis will do. I like pre-painted ones because I'm lazy. I don't want to paint my minis, but you can get them cheaper, of course, if you want to paint them yourself. And I've also used Hero Forge to print out a few custom minis, and that was, a pretty good experience. I've got some really cool customizable minis from that, but that can get very expensive fast. And obviously we live in a 3D printer world now, and that's something we'll get to in a little bit. Risers, condition rings, and a bunch of other stuff are always very useful as well. Especially for high level play, I find having a area of effects to see very fast where things hit is really useful. Having risers or flyers, whatever you want to call them, to literally show when people are flying, also very useful. And then condition rings for, showing when there is a condition on certain minis and not on others is very, very useful too. Once again, most of that is more for high level play, though I would still use them in, lower level play, but things can get pretty complicated in D&D fast. So having all this stuff really helps immerse me in the scene more and imagine what's going on, but also, know the numbers and know what conditions are out there and all that good stuff. Though for this riser, you can just use an upside down glass. Now, if you can't tell, I do run a pretty physical game of D&D. So I also find it useful, though this is entirely not necessary, and in fact, I do not use these every single week, but I could, and I'm sure some people will. I use Warlock tiles here. These are walls and flooring and cornice and doors that clip off and clip on. You can make, you know, any shape you want within reason. I find squares being the easiest shapes to make. But most of the time I just make a big room like this and I'll just reuse this room for different purposes. I'm not often taking it apart and putting it together again because you know, who has the time for that? It's unnecessary. Then we have Sticky Putty. This is just incredibly useful in life. I talk about it a lot on this channel, but you can just get a little bit of it and you can use it on a mini and throw that on there, and there you have, it sticks. Just very useful if you have players who like to see, you know, their minis climbing walls, exactly where they are, what they're doing. Maybe they're riding a bigger mini. You can stick it there, absolutely fine. I also use these to stick some printed out notes on my DM screen recently when I didn't want to use post-it notes. It's really useful, it does the job. And then before we get into some of the biggest things, I want to talk about these health potion vials. Now this is less about these health potion vials. I don't actually use them every single session. In fact, recently I've barely been using them at all, just because they're kind of a pain to, you know, get in and out. That works, but for example, if I get this bigger one, it kind of like they get stuck and they don't come out properly, which is fine. That's this make, I think. I'm sure other makes out there will be fine. But this isn't about the health potions. It's about props in general. Little gimmicky things that can make your game more fun or immersive or just stand out compared to other games out there. I think are always important to incorporate. And yeah, just having little things like this that you can pull on, it's cool. Okay, let me teleport upstairs. Also, I will say, on that note, candles. Not a normal D&D accessory that you hear about, but having a candle lit can only add to the atmosphere of your game, but also, it just smells nice. We have one lit for like every single session, and it's just part of the D&D ritual at this point. Plus, you can get specific fantasy and D&D smelling candles to really make you feel like you're in a magical forest or a dwarven mine or an elven city. It's not for everyone, but we like them and we use them a lot. Okay, let's talk tech. So none of this is necessary and it is all very expensive. So I'm not telling you to get any of this stuff. You probably already have some of it anyway. But here's what I use tech-wise. And honestly, this item I use the most as a DM. It's my laptop. This is pretty much necessary for me to play D&D now. I prep on here, I take notes on here, like actual notes, not just the chicken scroll I throw on notebooks. And I use digital tools on here, stuff like D&D Beyond. I'll also Google stuff on here, you know, dumb D&D stuff, not things like the rules, but real life facts, like are owls truly completely silent when they fly? Or how long can you survive if you put your face incredibly close to molten lava? Not in it, just very close. These are real arguments we have had at our table. I also use Spotify on here for music and Discord for communication. And look, the list goes on and on. This is a D&D tool and I use it a lot. I also use my Alexa Dot a lot too. These little speakers are really cheap and it's connected to my Spotify, so I can just ask it to play fantasy music and it will. I can ask it to play combat music and it will. Creepy, suspenseful music, it will do that most of the time. Sometimes it misunderstands my accent, I think. And in my setup, we actually have 2 of these Echo Dots, either side of the room. And they're connected, so we pretty much have surround sound. Obviously, you do not need these. And any speaker that can connect to your phone will also do the trick. But the reality is, music in my games has become just so immersive and integral that having some kind of like reliable music player is just perfect for me. And that is everything I use every session. I do want to add something though that I'm saving up for, and I'm getting it as soon as I can afford it, because I know it will be used every single session. It's not cheap though, but it's a 3D printer. The ability to print out specific minis and terrain is overpowered from what I hear, and it's the next level to truly customizing your game. Every mini you use actually looks like the monster it is supposed to be. Every NPC looks like the NPC it's supposed to be. Now, this is definitely not for everyone, and definitely not necessary. I've been playing D&D for many, many years without a 3D printer, and it's not affected me in any big way. But I personally cannot wait to get my hands on one, and every person I know who, you know, has one and uses it for D&D speak really highly of it. That, and you can just make a whole host of other stuff with it to improve your life. I've even seen people printing out dice towers and dice trays and holders to hold things. I'll leave a link below to the printer I plan on getting, and it is all affiliate links down there, so using them to buy anything will bring me closer to unlocking my full 3D potential and, you know, allow me to actually buy one myself. Speaking of helping me buy a 3D printer, if you want to support this channel and see more videos like this about D&D gear, consider joining my Patreon. You will pretty much become a producer of these videos, and your money will go towards buying gear specifically for these videos. You also get your name rolling up at the end of the videos, like this. Oh, no way. No way. You're here? Oh, no way. Look who it is. Look who it is. Okay, let me know what stuff you use in your games the most, and thank you for watching. And dice trays.